Welcome to Mi-Soul,
Thank you.
Heston.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to meet you.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
Okay. Is this your first trip here in the UK?
No. I was here in 2011.
There you go. And how are you finding this trip compared to your last time visit?
I mean, I love it. I love the UK, and I love being able to represent the album, so it's always a positive thing.
Okay. So for those of our listeners and people who watch us on Mi-Soul TV who perhaps don't know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am an R&B soul recording artist who was born in the Caribbean and grew up with multitude of influences from reggae to soul to R&B to pop to classic to jazz to country. And what you hear as Heston's music today is a combination of all the influences, gets regurgitated, and it is what it is today as Heston's music.
How did growing up in Dominica play a part in your music and your style of music?
Well, like I said, there was one radio station that played so many different types of music. I mean, you'd hear something country, you know, from, again, Bob Marley to the Bee Gees to Boy George. I mean, it went from one thing to the next. And I was exposed to a lot more music, whereas today when you listen to one station, you're only limited to literally one genre, and you have to keep jumping from station to station to get exposed. With that station, it had everything on it, so I think I pulled from everything, and I think that's how the music comes out today. It's just a bit more universal.
At what age, I mean, what were you when you realised that music was the path you would take for your career?
I think somewhere between 8 and 9. Just looking at videos for me, again, Say was a huge video for me. I don't know what it was about it, but just that kind of music, that, you know, Al Green's gospel music. I grew up on not even realizing Al Green did R&B. It was all his gospel music. I think Guilty is one of my all-time favorite albums. Barbra Streisand and Barry Gibb. Just so many different things that's influenced me as a kid, and I've just always played those records over and over, and you know, that's just where it came from.
So you moved from Dominica to Georgia?
Dominica to Connecticut, Connecticut to New York, New York to Fort Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale to Georgia. That's
kind of a nomad experience you got going on there.
Yeah.
What was it like moving from the Caribbean into the US?
Well, ever since I was a kid visiting New York all the time, my aunt lived there. I've always loved. And when you live in the Caribbean, America is like the place to come. So I was excited. I was gung-ho. And
musically, did that sort of like switch you onto different genres of music, or?
I wouldn't say so. You know, I lived in Philly, went to high school in Philly, but I wouldn't claim to say that, oh, it's the Philly sound or that really moved me. I still think that my influences stayed in all the classic soul, R&B, pop albums that I listened to as a kid growing up in the Caribbean. And even today, that is where I live. That's where I enjoy what I enjoy most, is those old classic 70s songs.
So when you go back to Dominica, do you get like nostalgic, or do you miss America?
Because I know it's temporary. I don't necessarily miss America. I mean, I love to travel, and you know, Dominica is always my favorite place to perform. I'm actually heading there this June for a jazz festival. But yes, it's always, and I visited that station, DBS, and I tell the story all the time because it's just what it is. I'm very thankful for that station.
So how much of your growing up in the Caribbean and then living in the States, how much of an influence does that have on your music now?
I think it has everything to do with how I write, how I deliver vocally, and how I sing. I mean, there's it's R&B, soul for me, but there's an undertone of Caribbean rhythm throughout the music that it took me a while to even notice. Other people would point it out, but I mean, more and more I notice it, but it's definitely influenced by music. So it's just a slightly different brand of soul because there's that undertone of Caribbean rhythm in there that I cannot avoid.
And your new album out on Dome now?
Yes.
How long was that in the making?
This probably was my shortest delivery on an album. I I was deliberate in the studio to get in, get the work done. All the songs had been written already, minus maybe one or two. But I was able to turn that album around, I don't know, maybe under a year,
Really?
which is quick for me.
Because your first album was self-funded and it took about, so I read, I could be wrong, took about 3 years.
It actually did, about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Storyteller.
So-
My first full-length album, yeah.
So this album took about a year
Yeah,
to put together.
Underneath a year.
Are you happy? Are you happy with the finished product? Are you?
Yeah, like I say about this new album, the being able to stand back and realize, okay, I write these songs, I arrange them musically and vocally. I can produce, but that's not my thing. And so this time around, I decided, let me do what I know how to do best and leave the production to producers much more qualified than I am. And that's what I did. So between Daz IQ from Bugs in the Attic and DJ Kemet, I just let them have that, the production side of it, and stayed writing and arranging.
Did they have free range to do what they wanted to do, or did you actually have the final say as to what the finished
Well, I always have
product
the
would
final say, but I deliberately made sure that I wasn't too overbearing with my influence and let them do what they needed to do, and just check it and see if it's something that was going to work. But like especially with Daz, I was in the studio for everything, and with Kemet, I gave him the music, I wrote it, I sent it to him, I gave him some directions, and it was very easy. It was very easy.
And you're currently touring here with Donnie on the Acoustic Tour.
Yes, I am.
How are you finding that at the moment?
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Acoustic is not something that I've often done. Again, all these songs I write on guitar first, but it's not something that I get a chance to do as much. Usually it is with a full band. So I'm actually loving the experience.
Just going back to the album, if there's anything you could change, if you had the opportunity to, on the album, would you change anything, or?
I don't think I would. We're always critical about a work. At least I am, and I can always listen to something and say maybe vocally I could have done this a little better. But I think I will always do that, no matter what. I think my most simplest songs are the best songs. The songs that I wouldn't. I mean, to be honest with you, "Resigned to You" is a song on the album that probably gets the most airplay. It's not my most favorite. That's just being honest.
Well, that kills my next question then.
It's really not my most favorite because the songs that they come so easily, the writing, and sometimes I think, but that's with every album. So I realize that I'm not the best at picking the songs. I just write them, deliver them, and then let somebody else do that, because Greatest Lover on the last album might not have made the album either. I was almost that close to saying no because it's not my favorite. But I think my not so favorite songs probably are going to be the better songs.
So, off the new album then, which one is your favorite?
Come Away With Me. It's a
What do you like
reggae inspired song. I did a duet with a young lady out of Germany. Her name is Sarah Lugo. But that would be my song now. However, about Resigned to You, it is now my favorite song to deliver live. So I think I've just grown into it. And I think, even one of my first songs, If, again, same thing. It was simple, simple hook, simple delivery vocally, but again, that was the one that got the most attention. I'm somewhat of a balladeer in a way, and so the up-tempo songs are not the ones that I always, they're just not my favorite.
Yeah.
But they seem to always be the ones that get the most attention.
Is it difficult for you to choose which tracks you want to put on your album? Or?
No, because I'm not, for one, I don't have the budget to record 30 songs and choose 10 or 12. I pick 10 songs, 12 songs, 15 songs, and I put a 5,000% into every one of them, because I can't continue to record. Frankly, I don't have the budget to do that. So I write what I need to write for the album. I won't finish a song if I'm not fully happy with it. So when I'm there and satisfied, I put it to the side and said, that's going to go on the album.
I mean, we're aware that you're an artist of individuality and you do your own thing, but which artists influence you?
I think today, currently, someone I just thoroughly respect is Lauryn Hill. Even if it's just the one album and the one acoustic, I think for me, my music comes from here. And like I need music, and I feel that in her performance, even like the acoustic stuff. Lauryn Hill probably is one. John Mayer is another one. I love singer-songwriters. I love artists here and back then who just truly feel music. You know, sometimes you have performers and they do a great job at performing, but it doesn't come from inside. You can tell it's a show. But then you see other artists like Otis Redding. I mean, you felt every lyric that he sang, or Bob Marley. Like, you can feel it. I mean, and you can go on, but there's so many more that are so much more performers than they are artists. And I mean, you need both. However, I like people who you can feel their spirit through the music. And you know, I would say Lauryn Hill is one of those people for me. John Mayer is one of those people for me. You know, and I'm sure there's a lot, but that's the two I would say right now.
What motivates you then? Because I understand the artists that you like and the style of music you like, but what motivates you? What makes you want to get out of bed and make music? Real life.
My experiences, just life in general. Or every so often someone might say something catchy, like I have you know, In This Life, I have a song called In This Life on my first EP. Had a friend who would constantly say, you know, in this lifetime, blah, 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 in this lifetime, blah, blah, blah. And to me, it's just it stuck with me. And then what I do is I relate the experience to my life, and so I'm able to write something honestly. And for me, that's really all it's about. For me, in music, it's just the honesty. And I think, if anything, everybody has their thing, but I think when people listen, I think they identify with the honesty, because we all go through the same stuff, whether it's love, life, experiences, hurt, betrayal, whatever it is. I just try to write as honest as I can, and hope that the audience understands, identifies, and can relate.
So you're playing the Jazz Cafe this coming Sunday, the 27th.
Yeah.
What can we expect? Is it the full album, full band, full repertoire?
Full album, touching on every album, at least a 75 to 90 minute performance, and picking some of the best stuff from all of the albums thus far. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. An amazing band. Orfo is the musical director, and he's put together a group of guys. Carlos, who is my favorite percussion player, period. You know, I played with some amazing guys, but Carlos, the last time I was touring here, he was on percussion, and now he's on drums, but just still brilliant. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm very pleased. We're ready to go. We're ready to go.
And you play instruments yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Which ones do you play?
I play the acoustic. That's it.
Just the guitar?
Just the guitar. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I play the guitar, yeah.
Well, are you going to give us the pleasure of playing something for us today here in the Mi-Soul studio?
Absolutely.